Top 10 countries black people are fleeing. What's pushing them out so fast? Black people are leaving certain countries, and this isn't about taking a holiday. We're talking about visas approved, suitcases zipped, and peace of mind packed alongside the essentials. Why? Because when systemic racism, economic hardship, personal safety risks, and a complete absence of opportunity collide, the message becomes impossible to ignore: this place is not it. Across the world, black communities are dealing with everything from government neglect to social invisibility, and it's triggering one of the quietest yet most powerful demographic shifts happening right now. This movement isn't about tourism. It's about survival, self-respect, and refusing to accept life as a second-class citizen. Some nations claim they welcome black immigrants, but once you look beyond official statements and into everyday reality, the truth is much darker. Add racial profiling, restricted access to resources, and zero political representation, and honestly, who wouldn't leave? So which countries are black people actually exiting in large numbers? That's the million-dollar question, and the answers may shock you. Stay with me until the end because the full list is coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Smash that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and hit the notification bell for more eye-opening journeys. Now, let's jump right in. Number 10. France. You'd expect a nation that proudly chants liberté, égalité, fraternité to actually live by those words. But for many black people in France, that slogan feels more like misleading advertising. Let's be honest, freedom and equality don't mean much when you're constantly being stopped by police or shadowed in high-end stores like you're rehearsing for Ocean's 11. Here's the reality: institutional racism is alive and thriving in France. Research shows black residents are 20 times more likely to be stopped by police than white citizens. 20 times. That's not law enforcement, that's profiling with a French accent. Add decades of housing discrimination, employment inequality, and the reality of being confined to neglected suburban zones, often referred to as banlieues, and it becomes clear why so many are saying au revoir. But it's not just about harassment. It's about erasure. Black contributions to French culture are minimized, black voices in politics and media are nearly non-existent, and the education system presents colonial history like a bedtime story, carefully edited to remove all discomfort. So what's happening? A growing number of young black professionals and families are relocating to more inclusive European countries like Portugal, Germany, or the Netherlands, or even returning to Africa where they feel a sense of belonging and breathing room. Let me ask you this: have you ever lived somewhere that constantly reminded you that you don't belong, even when you speak the language and understand the culture? That's everyday life for many black people in France, and they're exhausted. France may be known for cafes and croissants, but for black immigrants and second-generation citizens, the emotional cost of fitting in is simply too high. That's why France takes the number 10 spot. Still with me? Good, because the next one hits even harder. Number 9. Brazil. Brazil is famous for samba, carnival, and some of the richest Afro-Brazilian art, music, and soul anywhere in the world. But behind the vibrant parades and Instagram filters lies a painful truth. Black people in Brazil aren't flourishing, they're barely surviving, and many are done surviving. Here's a shocking stat. Over 56% of Brazil's population identifies as black or mixed race, making it the largest black population outside Africa. Yet black Brazilians account for more than 75% of homicide victims. Let that sink in. It's like being the foundation of the nation while being treated as disposable. Economically, the inequality is impossible to ignore. Afro-Brazilians earn about 40% less than white Brazilians on average. They're underrepresented in government, overrepresented in prisons, and disproportionately targeted by police. Being black in Brazil dramatically increases your chances of being stopped, or killed, by law enforcement. So how does a country so rich in black culture remain so poor in black equity? That contradiction is the heartbreak of Brazil. For many Afro-Brazilians, the promise of progress has faded into a harsh reality. No amount of carnival sparkle can hide the systemic racism embedded deep within Brazil's institutions. Generations are worn down, and more people are choosing countries that offer real equality, not just cultural appreciation. Ask yourself, would you stay somewhere that celebrates your culture but constantly threatens your life? That's the daily dilemma facing Black Brazilians today. Number 8. Algeria. Let's be clear. Black people in Algeria are being forced out, and it's anything but polite. We're talking about raids, mass expulsions, and open hostility like it's a national routine. Imagine leaving sub-Saharan Africa in search of opportunity, only to arrive and be treated like a walking crime. Algerian authorities have made their stance clear: black migrants are unwanted. Crackdowns are frequent and violent. Security forces conduct door-to-door raids, pulling people from homes and jobs, cramming them into trucks, and dumping them at borders with no warning. No legal process. No dignity. How do you build a future in a country that doesn't even acknowledge your humanity? How do you survive where simply existing as black can land you in detention, or worse? Number 7. Libya. Libya isn't just dangerous, it's a modern-day horror story. Slavery there isn't symbolic. It's real. For thousands of black African migrants, Libya is a nightmare disguised as a transit route. Human trafficking, torture, and literal slave markets are part of the landscape. CNN exposed this back in 2017, but the abuse never stopped. People are still being sold for as little as $400. Since the fall of Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has collapsed into chaos. Armed militias control territory, and black skin is the easiest target. Migrants are thrown into detention centers where abuse is routine and survival is uncertain. The United Nations has documented widespread torture, rape, and extortion, yet global outrage remains muted. Even worse, some governments fund Libyan authorities to detain migrants so they never reach Europe. Out of sight, out of mind. For black migrants, Libya is not a pathway, it's a dead end. And those who escape never look back. Number 6. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia may promise opportunity, but for many black Africans, it delivers exploitation wrapped in luxury branding. At the center is the kafala system, a sponsorship arrangement that traps workers in abusive conditions. Migrants can't change jobs, leave the country, or even escape abuse without employer permission. That's not employment, that's captivity with wages. Black African workers, especially women in domestic roles, report unpaid salaries, 18-hour workdays, physical abuse, and confiscated passports. Speaking out often leads to detention or deportation. Over 2 million African migrants live in Saudi Arabia, many without legal protection. Racism is built into daily life: slurs, dehumanization, and constant surveillance. The dream of earning money turns into a nightmare when freedom doesn't exist. For many, the real opportunity lies in leaving. Number 5. Turkey. Black people aren't leaving Turkey because the food ran out. They're leaving because being black there often feels like having a target on your back. Racial profiling is common, especially in cities like Istanbul and Ankara. African migrants are followed in stores, stopped without cause, and treated as suspects by default. Employment is another trap. Many black migrants, especially women, are stuck in domestic or service jobs marked by long hours, no days off, and rampant abuse. Accountability is rare, and the legal system often looks away. Despite Turkey's image as a global bridge between East and West, social acceptance hasn't caught up. Black communities face isolation, exclusion, and constant microaggressions. How long would you stay somewhere that enjoys your culture but rejects your presence? Thousands have answered with one-way tickets out. Number 4. Ukraine. For many black people, the most terrifying part of Ukraine wasn't the bombs, it was the racism while trying to escape them. During the 2022 invasion, black students were pushed off evacuation trains, blocked at borders, and told to wait while white Ukrainians were prioritized. It was segregation under fire. This wasn't new. Before the war, black students already faced housing discrimination and social exclusion. When crisis hit, they were abandoned. Human rights reports documented Africans stranded for days without food or shelter. The message was clear: you're not one of us. That trauma lingers, and many black people have decided Ukraine is no longer an option, war or no war. Number 3. Russia. Russia is one of the most openly hostile environments for black people today. We're talking about violent hate crimes, daylight assaults, and extremist groups operating with little consequence. Police often dismiss racially motivated attacks, and legal protection is nearly non-existent. Black residents live in constant fear. African students who arrive for education quickly realize they're enrolled in survival training instead. Between visa issues, xenophobia, and violence, many leave, and warn others not to come. Number 2. India. In a country of over 1.4 billion people, being black still makes you hyper-visible. Racial prejudice in India is blatant, slurs, staring, harassment, and stereotypes are common. Black people are often labeled criminals without evidence. Violent incidents, like the 2017 mob attack on African students, show how dangerous these perceptions can be. There's also deep isolation. India lacks established black communities, leaving migrants without support or safe spaces. Many leave before their visas expire because dignity isn't negotiable. Number 1. China. China tops the list, and not by accident. During COVID-19, black residents in Guangzhou were evicted, denied services, and forced onto the streets simply for being black. That wasn't an exception, it was exposure. Even before the pandemic, job ads excluding black applicants and constant police harassment were common. African residents are welcomed on paper but rejected in reality. China invests heavily in Africa while mistreating African people at home, a contradiction that hasn't gone unnoticed. For many, staying means living one accusation away from losing everything. That's why China ranks number 1. Which country surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. This list wasn't about attacking, it was about telling the truth. Like, share, and subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian for more bold, honest, and eye-opening content. Until next time, travel smart, stay safe, and never accept less than you deserve.